Hello and welcome to the Tottenham America channel. Today we will be ranking every player's performance from Tottenham's disappointing 2-0 loss against Arsenal, as Arsenal win for the first time at the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as we just about reach halfway through the season. Spurs had a really poor first half, but we did show some spirit in the second half, but it was not enough, and Arsenal ended up winning 2-0. We're going to start it off with Hugo Lloris in goal. I'm going to rate Hugo Lloris a 4.5. Made a really bad mistake for the first goal where Saka fired it to his near post, completely fumbled it into his own goal. She really should have dealt with that much better. To be fair to him, it did take a little deflection off Ryan Sessegnon, but he should not be letting that in. He should be doing much better. I would have given him a little worse of a rating if he hadn't come up with some slightly bigger saves in the second half. I believe both of them were from Eddie Nketiah shots where Arsenal could have scored from, but he did save. Both of them, I believe, were one-on-ones. Next, our next player that we're rating is Cristian Romero. I'm going to rate him a 5.75. Romero, not the best of performances today from the World Cup winner. Was being really crazy with his fouls, rash tackling, going in on unnecessary challenges. Didn't make any mistakes defensively, but the number of fouls he gave away was just crazy. He probably ended up giving away almost half of Tottenham's fouls, at least a quarter of all the fouls that we gave away today. Not the best today, Cristian Romero. Although when we did need him to step up defensively, he did step up. He was probably one of our worst defenders today. Moving on to Eric Dier in the center back position. Was actually pretty good today. In the first half, like the whole defense was not great, really shaky, weren't collaborating together enough. But in the second half, for the first 20 minutes of the second half, where we were basically playing in Arsenal's half, we were showing some spirit. Eric Dier was just staying back, really focused. And when Arsenal did counter, he immediately came up and put his tackle in, put his boot to the ball, and made the tackle. So he stopped a counterattack there and in other points too. So Eric Dier, pretty good in the second half. Couldn't say the same for the first half, but not that bad from Eric Dier. Next, moving on to Lenglet, I'm going to give him a 6.5. Lenglet, one of more impactful and better defenders. He got some crossing opportunities, which we know from that left flank. He's really good putting in crosses. His crosses didn't come off today. Defensively, he was pretty good, though. Made some good challenges. And he often got up the field a lot, especially in the second half. First half, like I said, our whole team was pretty much not doing well. Everyone was asleep. It basically takes us a whole half of football to wake up. Maybe we should just play a whole half, 45 minutes of football before we start the game. That would make things better for us, honestly. Especially our defense. It takes a long time for them to wake up. And this is our best pairing of center backs. Davies was on the bench today, we could basically interchange with Lenglet as needed. If injury or stamina issues, I don't know, but they're pretty much at the same level, so we could basically play any of them, and they're both in pretty good form. So left center back was one of our better positions. Lenglet did pretty well today. Moving on to Matt Doherty, I'm going to give him a 6. Doherty was very quiet today, had not much to do defensively. Pushing up a lot, he had a lot of aerial duels, didn't win many of them, but he really didn't make many errors, marking his man pretty well, and really didn't do anything wrong today, Matt Doherty. Scored against Crystal Palace little more than a week ago, so his confidence is probably pretty high right now. But probably dropped a little after today's performance against Arsenal. He was probably one of our better players today because he did make many mistakes, but still, not great from him. Really quiet in the first half. Moving on next, Ryan Sessegnon. Oh, Ryan Sessegnon. I'm going to rate him a 4.5. Ryan Sessegnon Not great performance from him today. Recently, his performances have not been good. He just needs to find his feet again in the Premier League. He had a brilliant start to the season, scoring against Southampton on match week 1, which was a really good start for him. His confidence was through the roof, and now look at him. Now he's in this huge dip of form, and I don't know why he started. I was expecting Perisic to start. If I were in Conte's shoes, I would start Perisic every day of the week. He's much more experienced. His crossing ability is way better. The only reason you would start Sessegnon is because of his defensive ability, which he can defend a little better than Ivan Perisic, but he wasn't even able to deal with Saka today. And you saw that in the opening goal, that Lloris own goal, where Saka definitely wanted to go couldn't on his left foot. Sessegnon was not letting him. He was not getting close to him. He should have made a tackle earlier, and he just let him in onto the near post, which not good defending from him. So not a great performance from Ryan Sessegnon. The next player we're going to move on to is one of our better players today, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. I'm going to rate him a 6.75. First half, quiet, made some mistakes, but in the second half, he really came to life. He was battling for balls in midfield, making some good tackles, winning back possession, like how he normally does. Probably our most consistent performer throughout the season. And he was somewhat consistent today, nowhere near as good as his other performances, but he was probably one of the best out of a bad bunch today, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Of course, his midfield partner, Sarr, I feel like they partner pretty well together. Him and Sarr. Him and Bissouma don't do that well together. We've seen that in recent performances when Højbjerg and Bissouma are together. But Sarr and Højbjerg, that midfield pair is pretty good, but nowhere near as good as Højbjerg and Bentancur. Bentancur, imagine if we had him for this game. Bentancur looks like he will be back for our next game, but he literally just gotten back in training yesterday, one day before the match, so there was no way he would feature. But I'm really excited to have him back. We need him. We need him desperately. We need Bentancur in our midfield. He makes such a big difference, and he had a good performance during the World Cup too for Uruguay, arguably one of their best players. Next, we're moving on to Højbjerg's midfield partner, who is Matar Sarr. I'm going to rate Matar Sarr a 6.5. Had promising performance. It's a sign of things to come from him. One of our better players today. Didn't make many mistakes in midfield. In midfield, the real problem was that extra man. Martin Odegaard outnumbered Sarr and Højbjerg. Of course, Arsenal midfield had Xhaka, Partey, and Odegaard. Odegaard being the one that outnumbers Arsenal's midfield to our midfield. So it's just shambles for us. It was kind of shambles for us in midfield. It was just Højbjerg and Sarr dealing with this huge open space that was hard for them to cover. Really hard for them to cover. So them two, they tried to do the hard work. They were stuck with the dirty work today. Moving on to our next player, which is Heung-min Son. Dropped pretty much of a stinker of a performance. Really quiet, especially in the first half. Had one chance, maybe two chances. He did get a couple shots away, though. But really disappointing performance from him. Barely got on the ball. This was his first game with his mask off. He was not terrible. I couldn't really see a difference with the mask on and off. But I bet there will be in his next performance. Today was not his day today. He did get a couple shots off. I think his crossing, though, was pretty good today. But still, really quiet. Not a great performance from him. But his crossing was good today. That definitely was affected by his mask. When he had his mask on, he can't look with his eyes down, left, right, up. He has to turn his head, which is one big part of looking for passes and crossing. So Son didn't have the worst of performances today. So he was pretty decent, especially in the second half. Not in the second half, but like really late in the second half, he was able to put in some good balls. That's when we needed him. That was probably the reason why we kept him on, because if he drops a stinker the entire match, he can come up with the goods late in the game with a great ball or a great shot and score for us. Our next player is Harry Kane, who made a pretty big impact. I'm going to rate him a 6.5. Harry Kane had a chance right before the break with the really good glancing header that Aaron Ramsdale had no trouble dealing with. We did earn a corner off it. Kane really dropped back into midfield a lot. At times he was defending for us. Normally he drops back into midfield, but at times he was dropping back into the defense. After Lloris had made his really bad mistake, our whole defense was shaky. Lloris was really defensively shaky on the ball, with his feet on the ball. That's when Kane started coming back, dropping into our defense to collect those balls, because we know he's so good on the balls. And then he can put a really good long ball up to Son or Kulusevski, which is what he did at one instant, except his long ball did not come off as he probably would have liked. Kane tried to get so many things done, tried to do things, but nothing was really coming off for him. The last player that we are going to be ranking today is Dejan Kulusevski. Kulusevski, I'm going to rate him a 6.75. First half, he was quiet, not much that he did, influential. But in the second half, he really came to life. He was trying to get things done. I think one of his weaknesses is his right foot. His right foot is a huge weakness. At one point, he had so much space on that right flank, and he was on his right foot. Could have put a good cross in, but the problem is he's not so confident on his right foot. Nowhere near as confident on his right foot than his left foot. So he'd rather cut inside on his left foot and take a shot, which he did 2 times today and nearly scored. On a better day for him, that would have gone into the top corner and been a beautiful goal for him. So Kulusevski, probably our man of the match today. Our brightest performer, really trying to create chances, get shots off. So that's a positive for him, and he just came back from his 2-week injury. We did miss him against Aston Villa and Crystal Palace. Against Crystal Palace, Heel did do pretty well to fill in for him, but Kulusevski, you can see how much of a difference he makes in this squad. But that is it for our player ratings of Tottenham's disappointing 2-0 loss to Arsenal. Make sure you subscribe, leave a like, comment down below your thoughts on the match, and until next time, come on you Spurs!